Hello and welcome back to Tech Support Mondays. If you saw last week's Tech Support Wednesday, we talked about a few simple tech checks to keep in mind before the new year. Today, we're going to slow things down and walk through why these checks matter and how to think about them without feeling overwhelmed. This video is not about fixing everything, upgrading devices, or learning complicated tools. It's about awareness. Most tech stress doesn't come from one big problem. It comes from lots of little things piling up quietly over time. So think of this as a calm reset. Nothing in here needs to be done today. You don't need to be good with technology. You just need to know what's worth checking so you can start the new year feeling a little more prepared and a little less stressed. Let's get started. A lot of people think tech problems happen suddenly, like one day your phone just breaks or you lose everything out of nowhere. But in reality, most issues build up slowly. Photos aren't backed up for years, passwords stay the same forever, updates get ignored, apps pile up, and when something finally goes wrong, it feels overwhelming because there's so much to deal with at once. That's why simple tech checkups are so powerful. You don't need to understand how everything works behind the scenes, just checking in once in a while helps prevent bigger problems later. And here's something important. Doing a tech checkup doesn't mean fixing everything. It just means noticing what's in good shape and what might need a little attention later. Awareness alone puts you in a much better position than doing nothing at all. Let's start with one of the most important things on any device, photos and videos. Most people assume their photos are automatically safe, but that isn't always true. Having photos on your phone doesn't necessarily mean they're backed up somewhere else. If a phone is lost, broken, or reset, those memories can disappear if they're not backed up properly. The good news is you don't need to understand cloud storage or settings right away. The first step is simply asking yourself one question. If my phone disappeared tomorrow, would my photos still exist somewhere else? If the answer is I'm not sure, that's completely okay. That's the point of this check. You don't have to solve it today. Just knowing it's something to look into after the holidays is already a win. Photos are often the hardest thing to replace, which is why they're a great place to start when doing a simple year-end check. Next, let's talk about passwords, and we're going to keep this simple. You don't need to change every password you've ever created. That's overwhelming and unrealistic. Instead, it's better to focus on the ones that matter most. Your email password is especially important because it's often used to reset other accounts. Banking and financial accounts are another priority. If those passwords haven't changed in years, yet that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It just means it's worth making a note to update them when you have the time. A good rule of thumb is this. If an account would cause real stress if someone got into it, it's worth paying attention to. You don't need to fix everything today. Awareness is the goal. Let's talk about updates. When your phone or computer asks to update, it can feel annoying or even a little scary. Many people worry updates will break something or change how everything looks. In reality, most updates are there to fix security issues and prevent problems, not create them. The real trouble often happens when updates are ignored over a long time. Then, when you finally do update, everything changes at once and feels overwhelming. Doing updates occasionally, even just a few times a year, helps keep devices running smoothly and avoids bigger headaches later. You don't need to understand what the update is doing, you just need to know that it's there to help more often than not. Finally, let's take a look at apps and digital clutter. Over time, most phones fill up with apps we tried once and forgot about. That's completely normal. You don't need to delete everything, but it's helpful to occasionally scroll through and see what's actually on your device. Unused apps can still update in the background and take up storage, which can slow everything down. Even just noticing which apps you recognize and which ones you don't is a good first step. Think of this like cleaning out a drawer. You don't need to organize it perfectly, but just knowing what's inside helps you stay in control. Before we wrap up, there are a couple built-in safety tools that most people already have, but don't realize they exist. If you ever lose your phone, both Android and iPhone have tools that can help you find it. On iPhones, it's called Find My, and it lets you locate your device, make it play a sound, or lock it remotely. On Android phones, the service is called Find My Device, and it works in a very similar way. If you're using a Samsung phone, there's also Samsung SmartThings Find, which adds another way to locate lost devices tied to your Samsung account. You don't need to use these tools daily, just knowing they're turned on and connected to your account can make a huge difference if something ever does go missing. Another important area people often forget about is emergency information. On iPhones, emergency details are stored in the Health app under Medical ID. This is where you can add emergency contacts, medical conditions, allergies, and medications. First responders can access this information even if your phone is locked. On Android phones, this information is usually found under Settings, then Safety and Emergency or Emergency Information. You can add contacts and medical details there as well, and it can also be accessed without unlocking the phone. These are the kinds of features we hope we never need, but they're worth checking once a year. Just confirming that the right people and information are listed enough is enough for now. It's not too late at all. Most phones already have built-in tools for finding lost devices, but they just need to be signed in and turned on. And if even checking once to see if it's enabled gives you peace of mind, and you don't need to have to actively use it unless something goes wrong. Backups are still private and tied to your account unless you choose to share them. They're meant to protect your data, not make it public. It's always a good idea to double check sharing settings, but backups by themselves don't automatically expose anything. It's usually more annoying than dangerous, but can slow down your phone or prevent updates. Often it's a mix of photos, videos, and apps that build up over time. You don't need to clean everything at once, even freeing a little space can help. A good time is when you're not a rush, like in the evening or when your device can sit plugged in for a while. Updates usually go smoothly, especially when done regularly instead of all at once. You don't need to watch it closely, just let it finish. Yes, absolutely. These simple checks are especially helpful for family members who don't use tech often. Even just making sure photos are backed up and emergency contacts are correct can prevent a lot of stress later. So to recap, you don't need to fix everything or become an expert before the new year. Simple awareness, knowing where your photos stand, which passwords matter most, whether updates are piling up, and what safety tools are available, already puts you ahead. Pick one thing to do this week, just one thing to check. And that's how tech becomes manageable instead of feeling overwhelming. If you have questions about backups, passwords, updates, lost devices, or emergency settings, leave a comment below. I read every comment and I'll be covering many of your questions in the future, either on a Tech Monday or in a dedicated topic for that week. If this video helped, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're ready to make technology work for you and your business without confusion or stress, visit us at 123mapwebsites.com to get started. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a happy new year.